Long, strange letter from Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. It was addressed to you, the concerned American citizen. What does it mean? Joining us now with answers, Vanity Fair's Christopher Hitchens from Washington. Christopher, who is this letter written to?
Well, I think you're right. It's supposed to be an offer to us all. It's actually based on, I think, as most of Mr. Ahmadinejad's statements are, a letter written by Ayatollah Khomeini to Mikhail Gorbachev during the years of the decline of the Soviet Union, where the Ayatollah decided to pen a letter to the USSR saying, have no fear, help is on the way, Islam is the solution, we will replace you as the great alternative to the failure of Western liberal democracy. This is just a recycling of that. There's an implied threat, of course, as there was in the original Stalinist one.
I'm just struck by that in everything you see come from the government of Iran, there is anti-Semitism, which has got to be among the most off-putting things in the Western world. Most Americans, Western Europeans, see anti-Semitism and they know they don't, whatever it is, they don't want any more of it. Why exactly, can they not control themselves? Is that why they include these attacks on the Jews, or is this part of a strategy?
No, I think it's as necessary to them as, I have to say, it once was to a lot of people in the West, especially the more extreme Christians. The fact of the matter is that both the holy books of the Christian and the Muslim religions record that the first encounter they had was with the Jews who weren't very impressed with either the Prophet Jesus or the Prophet Muhammad. And that's not going to be forgiven. It's a religious problem. It's a problem of believing in any of this theological nonsense in the first place. Sometimes I noticed that your previous guest, Mr. Tillman, who I very much admire, said it reminded him of the Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Actually, it isn't that much like that, but the protocols are available now freely on, for example, the Hamas website and in many other parts of the Muslim world. You could, if you like, consider that to be encouraging, in that if they had a long, long anti-Jewish tradition of their own, they wouldn't have to be stealing it from Russian Orthodox Christians and German fascists. But I suspect that that's a pretty empty consolation.
But so you think anti-Semitism is
very necessary to them.
It's intrinsic to their theology. I mean, there's no separating it out from their politics.
It's absolutely, there's no point in it without someone to hate, and without something that also would explain the ruin and failure that they brought on their own societies. The reason why we had to intervene in Iraq, and the reason why we were right to do so, not to go over all the arguments again, was, among other things, this: a failed state, as Iraq was becoming, as well as a rogue one, isn't going to blame its own failure on itself any more than Afghanistan would have done, or Iran does. When they try and run society out of holy books, and with preachments and sermons and rants, everything grinds to a halt, as you can see. But do they blame that on themselves? No. They say it's a Jewish Crusader Zionist conspiracy that means the lights don't come on and the children can't read and everyone's teeth are falling out.
No, of course.
So they have to project the violence outwards and to explain it like that. That's why we can't be indifferent about failed states anymore, if we ever could.
No, it's pathetic.
And the easiest and cheapest way of doing that, and the one that is most easily picked up by the half-educated or the completely ignorant, is the idea of a secret Jewish world conspiracy. Of course, it's an old, tried and tested means of demagogy.
So if Iran wants us to get out of Iraq because Iran wants to control Iraq, we are on the way out of Iraq, for good or ill. I think we're leaving. We're running away. Should we attempt to neutralize Iran before we go? Because our exit will make them more powerful, inevitably, don't you think?
Well, there are those, including some among the dreaded neocons, who say that Iran was the problem in the first place. And of course, if the United States was the hapless puppet of Israel that the reactionaries say that it is, it would have gone for Iran first, because that's the one the Israelis have always worried about. Here's the situation. I mean, it's not us this time. It's the European Union, the UN, and the International Atomic Energy Authority that have caught Iran cheating on weapons of mass destruction, lying about every agreement they've ever signed, cheating on all the inspections, all of that. It's a clear-cut case. So we can do one of two things. We can either say, well, actually three. We can either say, fine, that was clever, you managed to plagiarize nuclear weapons from other people's designs and from pirating illegal materials, and good luck to you. Or we can say we won't have it, and we'll rally the international community to stop it. Doesn't look very likely now, that does it?
No, it doesn't at all.
No. Or the third is we can make an across-the-board approach to Iran, saying, well, look, we have lots of things to discuss, and it's time we discuss them all. But we'd have to insist that for them to come to the table, they drop the covert nuclear program.
Yeah.
But I have one suggestion I'd like to make, if you.
Yeah, if you could give it to me in 15 seconds.
Yeah,
definitely.
I can. Iran has an earthquake coming like Christmas, like a heart attack, a huge one. It's been predicted by every knowledgeable seismologist. It's coming. Huh. They're doing nothing about it. They're wasting all their money on, among other things, burying uranium facilities, which will be great when an earthquake hits. We know a lot about seismology. We can talk to the Iranian people back to them over Ahmadinejad's head. We don't have to do it by replying to him. We can say, look, we can help you in this. We can help you with everything else, including peaceful nuclear power. But you have to know that your leaders are lying to you and leading you into war and confrontation, and that we're willing to be patient on this and fraternal, but we're not willing to be blackmailed.
No, I think what you say is you either stop your nuclear program or we will bring down an earthquake upon you using God's wrath. And then
well,
when it hits, they'll know.
If an earthquake came to Iran now, it would be blamed on people not praying. That's what they've done in the past.
The Jews and the Crusaders did it, of course, as always.
You think you're kidding? That's what they will say. They'll say it's the wrath of God. But we know about seismology. We know better, and we shouldn't be ashamed to say so. And we could help them.
Christopher Hitchens of Vanity Fair. Thanks a lot, Christopher.
Thanks for having me.
With just under 2 years to go.